say this afternoon. Um, 1 second here. All right. I think I got my notes, so I don't think I'll need any hard copy there. First, I want to say happy Monday to everybody. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Has had a good start to the work week so far. It's been a busy one for us already. We'll dive into some of that, but we're certainly glad that you all are here and helping us inform the city about a lot of the things that are happening, not only here, but certainly in the community overall. I want to, talk a little bit about the summer that we've had. When we think about what's happened across Montgomery, we've been just excited about the role our community centers have played and the fact that so many children and families are making the most of them. Our summer programs were in full swing and well attended. Brought us a lot of joy to see, family, friends using those new community centers, and it gave us a hint in terms of what we can do in the next phase of our capital investments in some of these spaces that haven't really seen the type of investment that we put into them lately, but we're certainly glad that they have come online and played a big role this summer. We even hosted our first ever esports event, and it was well received by participants and families alike, and it's something we want to continue throughout the entire year. We know gaming is a major activity, not just for young people, but for adults as well. As we know, they're professional gaming leagues even these days. So it's taken on new attention, and we're glad to play a role in that for the third year in a row. But this is just one of the ways that we've expanded some of our opportunities and some of the ways that we want to connect to the next generation of young people, and ways that we want to make sure that our community centers are staying relevant and are staying active. We think that it's important that people have a place not only where they can come for fun, but where they can come for meetings, and they can come for birthday parties and events. And that's why the Montgomery Forward Initiative was so important, to bring about these investments to make sure that young people and their parents know that there are places in the community where they can go. And we look forward to expanding that map overall, and we look forward to expanding the map of services that we provide as well. And so now, as students start to head back to school tomorrow, we want to wish them and their families a great and productive year. We're one of those families as well. We've had our back to school talk last week, over the weekend, this morning. I'm sure we'll have it again tonight, and on the way to school. So I've got a feeling that I won't be the only parent who's having to have several back to school talks and getting their children ready to be back in the school mode that we need all of our students to really reach the success that we know they're capable of. And our Parks and Recreation Department will continue to play a role where that's concerned. We want our community to know that our centers will be open after school, and we'll be expanding programming. We're going to look at some of the feedback we've gotten both from parents and young people about what was positive about their summer experience here in Montgomery, and some of the things they want us to change. Because we know after school, there are gaps in the schedule after school where young people still need some places to go, and where they still need that structure. That was a structure that I grew up with here in our community centers all the way up to high school. And we had that because we had a strong system in our community centers, but we had a strong system in our Parks and Recreation Department. So if you're interested in signing your child up, just head to fundinmontgomery.com. We'll make sure that not only they have a little bit of fun, but we're trying to help them with some school skills as well as life skills as well. Even if a specific program is full, the doors are still open, and our centers are still serving. They belong to our community, and we want everyone to know that. And over the past, few weeks, we've had an opportunity to kind of reassess what that might look like going into the fall, in part because of what stretch we had of crime in July. We had some very painful moments that impact families, neighborhoods, and a sense of peace throughout this community. But we must not allow isolated surges to really distract from the great work that our law enforcement professionals and our community leaders have been doing all year. And we're grateful for everyone playing a role in that, because the facts remain that violent crime and nonviolent crime and overall crime are all down compared to this time last year. Now, of course, we'd like for that to be down 100%. And we're going to continue to work towards that, because we know that any crime is one crime too many, in particular those that impacts a person's health or their well-being. Those are all things that not only impact the victim and their families, but it impacts the community by shaking those who are connected some way to the individuals that remain a part of that. But our police department is out there every day keeping our city safe, and I want to make sure they understand our support is there for them, and we thank them for the good work. We also thank them for partnering with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, as well as the ATF, the FBI, the U.S. Marshal Service, and so many of our surrounding police departments as well, who've been very helpful in really bringing about the type of downward trend that we're seeing across this country in other cities. And we're going to continue to try to drive that number even lower by making sure that the bad guys are uncomfortable and making sure that the bad guys are not only arrested, but they're kept in jail. We've been made aware recently of some loopholes we think that exist in the bail and bond system that we really want to address, and we plan to push that legislatively. We've already spoken with our government relations team, as well as some of our local legislators and our city council leadership, to talk about what type of legislation we think is going to be necessary to close these loopholes so that repeat violent offenders are not out on bail or not able to post bond when they should not be offered that type of second or third or fourth chance. We also want to make sure that we continue the dialogue with our judiciary, with our judicial system, and those that are part of the judiciary, to make sure they understand where we are and how we can work together, along with our district attorney, to do the parts that we need done before some of these people are back out on our streets. So we know that we want to continue to take guns off the streets. We want to continue to make sure that the bad guys don't get a chance to hurt people. But at the same time, we know that we have to be proactive in preventing violence. And we have to continue working with our Office of Violence Prevention, our community violence interventionists, and making sure that we're working also with our schools now that students will be headed back, to identify those problem areas so that we can try to get them the help and support that is needed. Now, we also know that not everyone is committing the type of major crimes that we've just been discussing. Sometimes they are smaller crimes, such as speeding. And this year we have been cracking down on traffic violations by issuing more than 50,000 citations, including over 7,800 moving violations and 43,000 red light camera tickets. That work makes a difference. Because of it, we're down more than 200 automobile accidents compared to this time last year. We know those are injuries that have been prevented and maybe even fatalities. And while we still have too many, we're going to continue to invest in technology as a force multiplier. So as I've been saying, we'll see more red light cameras. We'll see more speeding cameras on our streets to go along with some of the initiatives that we want to support our traffic division to make sure people are driving safer and slower, and that people, even if they're in a hurry, understand that it's not fair to put someone else's life at risk because of the recklessness that you're willing to exhibit. So we're going to do our part there, and again, we're going to try to work with those in our district attorney's office as well as those in the judiciary to make sure that even traffic offenses are being handled correctly. Now, if you want any additional information on that, we can certainly supply that, and I'm sure Chief Grayboys can drill down on that when he meets with you all as well. Now, I also want to invite the community to a very special event we have coming up tomorrow, and that's National Night Out. It's not just about fun, it's about connection between neighbors and community leaders who are doing the most to help our city be the very best that it can be. You can find your closest neighborhood association at montgomeryal.gov, because we want everyone to feel connected to their neighbor. We want everyone to feel connected to that person who lives in a street in front or behind them, and to know what it means to have that connectivity as people in the community, whether that's just sharing some good news and information, or whether or not that's telling people what to look out for if they've moved to the neighborhood and haven't been there very long at all. And guess what? Even if you've been there for a long time and you've never had the chance or have never chosen to participate, it's never too late to be involved and engaged in this event that we're going to have. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow night with National Night Out, and we're so excited. This is kind of the beginning of National Night Out season, as some neighborhoods will have theirs in subsequent weeks, and so we'll be able to get around to as many as we can. Now, as you know, when August comes around, we know it's football season here in the South. And so we're excited to have a lot of great events coming up right here in Crampton Bowls, starting off with the FCS kickoff on August the 23rd. We're excited to have a great lineup, not only on the 23rd, but also on the 31st with the Red Tails Classic, which honors the heroic courage and legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen. So back-to-back weekends, we want to make sure that all of our football fans and those fans who are just fans of the sport itself and just want to get out and support these local events and the organizations that are behind them, that they know that it's not too late and it's never too early to buy a ticket. So we want you to buy a ticket for you and your family, your friends, certainly your coworkers, and anyone else for either or maybe both of these games that we have coming up in August, because we know that because of those things, it'll be a great season for us to come out to Crampton Bowl, which has seen some updates this year as well, and to have a great time supporting these collegiate athletes. And also on the night before the Red Tails Classic on August 30th, we'll have a Red Tails pep rally that I failed to mention. And it's something that we want to make sure that we continue to focus and highlight as we think about the days and weeks to come between now and the end of this month. Now, I do want to highlight some community initiatives, and after that I'll be open to take some questions from any of you that may have them. You know, we've invested more than $50 million in improving our neighborhoods, parks, fire stations, and community centers through the Montgomery Forward Initiative. From Chisholm to the Crump Center, from Sheridan Heights to the all-new Fire Station 10, all these projects are now visible, tangible signs of what good government can deliver. But this isn't just about new buildings or fresh paint. These are strategic investments that create long-term value for our community. Take Lagoon Park, for example. The $2.4 million we invested there is already paying off, bringing in tournament traffic, generating revenue, and attracting regional attention. And that's just phase one. We'll be putting more improvements in Lagoon Park in this next budget cycle to make sure we bring it back to its prime that it once had. But this kind of return is what we want for all of Montgomery. Projects that not only improve quality of life, but also strengthen our local economy. But we're not done, and we're not going to slow down. These improvements were made, and we're going to continue to make them, as well as discuss where additional green space should be needed. Where's the next Lagoon Park? Where's the next Gateway Park? Where's the next Vaughn Road Park? We're talking and having those conversations about long-range planning to provide more outdoor recreation and activities for our community. And we want to continue to do just that. Finally, this is budget season. We got off to some good budget hearings last week. We think that we're in a sound financial position, but certainly, as I've said before in my mayor's message to the city council, we're going to have to tighten our belts a little bit. Our revenues are not expected to be what they once were over the last 2 to 3 years, and we know federal funding both to the state and to cities is being cut. And because of that, state funding to the cities is being cut. So we're asking and have asked our cabinet officials and department leaders to really think about their budget and think about the best way that we can serve the people of Montgomery with fiscal responsibility. And we're going to do that, and the goal is to make sure that the citizens don't feel too much of the pinch, but there may be some, because this comes when your economy is changed and you don't have the funding from Washington, D.C., as we've had over the last 4 years, and when people are pulling back on their pocketbooks and their purse strings because of economic uncertainty. We know that from employers and small businesses down to individual decisions that our tax revenues will not be what they have been for the last couple of years. So we'll continue to go through this process over the next several weeks, but we look forward to adopting a balanced budget, one that reflects the type of approach that we've had my entire administration, but one that continues to invest in public safety, one that continues to invest in technology, one that continues to invest in parks and recreation, as well as long-term capital improvement needs throughout this city. So we're going to continue to do that. We'll just have to be a little bit more prudent in what our priorities are and how we invest the taxpayers' dollars. But we look forward to doing just that over these next several weeks and hearing from the community about areas they'd like to see the budget better reflect their vision for the city of Montgomery. So with that said, I'll pause and open up for any questions that any of you may have on any particular topics.
Mayor, you touched base with as far as the first day of school for MPS.
Yes.
How important is it for these kids to actually get off to a good start? What is it that you really want to stress to them? I mean, the partners have piled in. They got all these great supplies and everything, and now they've got to actually release the road.
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. The importance of the first day of school can be understated because it's something that we need for our young people in our school system to get off on the right track, to get off on the right step for this year. And the first day certainly matters, and we plan to be out there, as we are many organizations, many of the partners in education that we have. And we're grateful to have all of those partners in education. For us, we think it's even more important to focus on the everyday attendance of our students and the everyday participation of their parents and caregivers. We cannot stress enough the gaps that we're seeing in education, both in terms of reading and math scores, where we need our students to be, where we need our young people to be. And it's going to take all of us. In government, in the private sector, in the community. It's going to take individuals and organizations collectively working towards this effort because education has a direct correlation to one's economic opportunity. It has a direct correlation to one's overall health and well-being. So it's important for us to not only get off on the right foot, but to make sure there's consistency in that. And our goal is to try to be of assistance where we can be, but our goal is also to challenge where we need to be. We're going to challenge our school board, and we're going to challenge those to make the decisions that need to be made. We're going to challenge those educators. I've mentioned, to this group before, our review of a city school system. That's not done lightly. We have talked to a few groups in the month of July about that very possibility and what it would mean, what it would, how it would impact. And at the end of the day, what we're looking for is strong leadership, strong participation, and strong results in education. We have to have that as a city to be viable. We have to have that as a community to really achieve the type of opportunities that I believe those in Montgomery and in Central Alabama really are depending on us to deliver. And education is a foundational pillar in making sure that your economic growth and the growth of your community is what we want it to be and what we believe it can be. And that takes everybody. So, yes, we need the students to be engaged. We need the staff and the teachers to be engaged. But we need parents and caregivers to be just as engaged on the 100th day as they are on the first day. And we need them to be just as engaged in their schoolwork and their homework as they are in any extracurricular or after-school activity they may be involved in. So I thank you for bringing that up. It's important for us to continue to value and invest in our education system, to support it, and to make sure we're putting those pieces in place to improve each and every day, each and every month, and each and every year. Yes, sir. Sure. Sure. I met with Dr. Bird early in the summer. We had a good meeting. I expressed, to him what we need out of our school system, what we need out of the leadership. He shared some of the key points of his vision for the school. Certainly understood why the city is engaged and really is vested in the success of our schools. But also we talked about some of the challenges, and we talked about some of the things that we need to see different, and he committed to looking at some of the areas that we brought up. Chronic absenteeism was one of them. There were others that were mentioned as well: curriculum instruction, participation, making sure that we have the certified teachers that are necessary, or if not, coming up with ways that we can assist them in doing so. That's very, very important. But he was very receptive. I thought the meeting was very positive, and I look forward to having a constructive relationship with him moving forward.
And now that kids are headed back to school, I know you spoke about crime being down year over year, but specifically in the summer,
Yeah.
how does this summer compare to past years in terms of public safety?
I haven't broken it down over the summer just yet. We just got our July preliminary numbers. Some of those may change based on what happened over the weekend. And again, we're trending in the right direction. Are we where we want to be? No. We want not only the data to be stronger, but we want the feeling of relief to be stronger even in this community. And we want those that are here to feel safe and to feel that. And that takes time. And that means essentially people have to see those numbers go down, and they have to see that happen over a steady period of time. And they have to also see that we're being proactive in our approach. And they have to show that we're showing strength in how we're going to serve and protect this city. And Chief Grayboyce and I talked about that this morning. And we're on board with some of the things that have been put in place since the beginning of the summer, and some of the things that we anticipate we'll be doing in the upcoming weeks. But we know we've got a lot of work to do. We know that even with everybody, pushing in the right direction, it's going to take individual accountability. Unfortunately, we had an issue come up today, and conflict resolution and de-escalation of situations is just really, really key. I read a report over the weekend about, some of these, a national report on crime and some of the data that we're seeing, and it talked about where, generations ago, a disagreement may have involved a bloody nose, to quote this article. But now it involves somebody pulling a gun. And those are the things that we're having to deal with and address, unfortunately. And we're going to continue to do that, again, through our Parks and Recreation program, through our Office of Violence Prevention, as we continue to staff up that department. It's coming along, I think, very positively as we get to full staffing there, and our Community Violence Intervention program. So we know there's more work to do, even with the trends being going in the right direction. So we aren't going to be comfortable or complacent until we see these numbers reduced even further, and we see them stretched out over a longer period of time.
Continuing with public safety, the city has spent or allocated over $850,000 this year to competing Axon produces police drones and surveillance technology.
Yeah.
I know this chief has spoken about some of that new technology being implemented. I was wondering what you've heard about the effectiveness of this investment, and could you provide more details into what exactly was purchased?
Sure. With tasers, it allows us not to use lethal force. It's one option for our officers who are out there day in and day out protecting this community. And we've had a few incidents where tasers have been used, and I'm glad they were used. Because, again, outside of that, it may have had to have been a different choice that could have resulted in more serious injury. I think our officers are trained at the highest level to know when to use them and when not to use them. And we feel like that's been a good partnership with Axon, not only in terms of tasers, but other equipment that they provided to us. We want our men and women of Montgomery Police Department to have the very best equipment. I got on one of our leaders about just one of the older model cars that I saw. Somebody might say, well, why does that matter? Well, that's their office when they're on that shift, when they're out there. We want to make sure that whatever they need, that they get it. Really, we can get that to them before they even need it. We got some feedback about why that was taking place, but from a car to a laptop to a taser to obviously your service weapon, we want them to have the very, very best that they can have, because that's the least we can do. But now, as I was mentioning to Chief Gray Boys this morning, we've got to invest heavily in technology. The cameras that we're investing in this budget cycle will help not only those of us at the City Hall, it will help that small business owner. It will help that homeowner. We want them to be connected to StarWatch. We want to be a city that is covered with surveillance. We are proud of the progress we're making with our drone technology and the usage of drones locally by the Montgomery Police Department. That's a key part of it as well. So we've got to use technology as a force multiplier to balance that off with the men and women who are on the ground out there each and every day. And we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to make sure that every crime is investigated, that's reported to us, and that we follow up and we look at trends and we look at connectivity, and that we work with our partners at every level to make this community safer than it is. And we want to continue to figure out whatever the best path is to do that, and making sure that we leverage partnerships with companies like Axon is one of them. All right.
Any updates on the leadership fire department after Chief Gordon?
We don't have any update. Well, we're going to be naming an active chief, but we want to thank Chief Jordan for his time leading Montgomery Fire and Rescue, and for his time serving in that role. Our goal is to provide the continuity and strong leadership during the transition, to appoint a committee to look at the best both internally and externally that we have. We think we've got a lot of good candidates internally. I'm sure when you leave a department that's in the position that Montgomery Fire and Rescue is in, you don't have any shortage of people from outside who are willing to come and lead it. Everybody loves a winner. So when you have the type of reputation they have and the type of performance, I've already received unofficial inquiries that I've had to redirect, through official capacities about those positions. But our goal is to make sure that we find the best and brightest leader for the next chapter of Montgomery Fire and Rescue and where we are right now. And I think we'll be able to do that in a timely fashion. All right. Got anything else? All right. I'll take one more, and then we'll cut it off after that. How's that?
For sure. So I know the Big Ten mayors, they recently met. It seemed like a big topic was the sales tax loophole. I know that the mayor emphasized this. With, like you said, revenue being down, is that a problem that with Montgomery that they're having?
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of online versus brick and mortar?
Yes, SSUT is a major issue for all of us in our cities, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but maybe we'll do a presentation at council meeting. But it's costing the city millions of dollars. These are millions of dollars that could be put back into paving streets, that could be put back into older buildings and capital improvements, could be put back into again, updating equipment in various departments in our administration, could certainly be put back into the community itself in various ways, from beautification to green spaces. It's costing us millions each and every year. And it's something we'll be asking our legislators to deal with as well. Because right now, the way the formula is set up, cities are being shortchanged. And when you click on Amazon, as some in my household tend to do from time to time, we want to make sure that the city of Montgomery is getting its fair share of that sales tax and of that online use tax. And right now, the city of Montgomery is not doing that. And it doesn't matter if it's my household or if it's another household, the city is losing out on that. Whereas when you had that brick and mortar store or retailer, that sales tax was coming into our general fund, and we're missing that, and we're already, the city with the lowest amount of revenue out of the five largest cities in this state. And when you look at the Big Ten, per capita, we're still towards the bottom there. So our work is cut out for us with the SSUT tax, and I commend the president of the Big Ten, Mayor Sandy Stimpson, Automobile, and certainly Walt Maddox, Mayor of Tuscaloosa, for really pushing forward this issue and really staying on it. And I'm hopeful that our state lawmakers will hear us out a little bit more, may be willing to give us some leeway with that's concerned, because as cities go, counties and the state goes. And you need strong cities to make sure that we can provide the type of health care, the type of public safety, the type of economic growth, and the type of infrastructure that all of us come to depend on in our urban centers throughout the state of Alabama. All right? So listen, thank you all so much for all your good work. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll see y'all tomorrow at council meeting. All right, take care.